Fair use disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The copyright laws of the United States recognize a fair use of copyrighted content. Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act states, notwithstanding provisions of sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of the copyrighted work includes such use by reproduction of copies, phono records, or by any other means specified by that section for a purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, YouTube, teachings, scholarship, research, is not an infringement of copyright. Copyright disclaimer, fair use.
Don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen.
The US should not pursue its own interests by using other countries as a pretext.
China has once again lashed out at Donald Trump amid his threats over Greenland and his hardening posture toward Beijing's ally, Iran, as tensions widen across two regions. China's foreign ministry condemned Trump's annexation-style claims against Greenland, warning that such language destabilizes the Arctic and undermines sovereignty. Beijing hit back at Trump by accusing the United States of using other countries as excuses to pursue its own interests, framing Washington's narrative as self-serving. China's foreign ministry also defended its Arctic activities, insisting its operations are meant for scientific work and promoting peace rather than expanding military influence. It further warned America to fully respect China's right to carry out Arctic operations, signaling it will not accept US pressure or exclusion in the region.
The Arctic concerns the overall interests of the international community. China's activities in the Arctic are aimed at promoting peace, stability, and sustainable development in the region, and are in accordance with international law. The rights and freedoms of all countries to conduct activities in the Arctic in accordance with the law should be fully respected. The US should not pursue its own interests by using other countries as a pretext.
China's strong statement comes against the backdrop of Trump's repeated threats over Greenland, which have alarmed both European allies and global rivals. On January 11th, Trump claimed he will not allow China or Russia to take Greenland, presenting the island as a strategic red line for US security. Trump also said he is ready to make a deal with Russia or China, but still wants Greenland, blending negotiation talk with a territorial demand. Speaking to reporters, the US president said, "We don't want Russia or China as our next-door neighbor," tying the issue to proximity and power projection.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland either the nice way the more difficult way.
Reports have also emerged claiming Trump ordered US special forces to draft a Greenland invasion plan, intensifying fears that military options are being discussed. According to the Daily Mail, Trump asked the Joint Special Operations Command for a blueprint, but the report says he faced dissent inside the military. US military figures reportedly warned Trump that Congress would never approve an invasion of Greenland, making any plan politically and legally fraught. Senior US military officials also reportedly told Trump that invading Greenland would be illegal, undercutting the idea that force could be justified. Meanwhile, Russia refueled a Tu-142Mk aircraft near the North Pole just as Trump doubled down on Greenland, adding another layer of Arctic signaling and brinkmanship. At the same time, China expressed solidarity with ally Iran amid simmering anti-government protests, signaling it does not want Tehran isolated. China said there were no reports of Chinese citizen casualties in Iran, but it still cautioned nationals to remain vigilant and stay safe in Tehran. The Chinese embassy also opened consular hotlines for nationals affected by the unrest, especially for those who may be trapped by disruptions and security closures.
China hopes that the Iranian government and people will be able to overcome the current difficulties and maintain national stability. China always opposes interference in other countries' internal affairs, maintains that the sovereignty and security of all countries should be fully protected under international law, and opposes the use or threat of use of force in international relations. We call on all parties to do something conducive to peace and stability in the Middle East. China is closely following developments in Iran and has not received any reports of Chinese casualties in Iran. China will make every effort to ensure the safety and protection of Chinese citizens in Iran. We also advise the Chinese citizens there to pay close attention to the local security situation and take necessary measures to ensure their personal safety. If assistance is needed, they may contact the Chinese embassy in Iran or call the Consular Protection Hotline.
This Chinese messaging comes as Trump has threatened to strike Iran over potential crackdown on protesters, raising the risk of escalation beyond rhetoric.
Reading out a book of Proverbs 29:2, and it says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn." First, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles, and the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness and sincerity. Again, I'm going to say Shalom. It's your buddy outside coming at you in a video, and this one shouldn't be too long, okay? You still have this Revelation 17 build up, and now, based on the video accounts, it appears the Western powers is going to overthrow Greenland. Okay, you have the aftermath of Venezuela, and which, by the way, excuse me, America do not control Venezuela. They only overthrew their elected president, but contrary to popular belief, America has not fully gained control over Venezuela in that aftermath. And on top of that, you still have what's left of the Ukrainian conflict. And when you follow the independent sources on that war, it's not much the Ukrainians can do to stop Russia from annexing Ukraine, because if you look at the most recent videos, Ukraine don't even have power. I mean, it's bad. That's a 100% loss for the elites that tried to overthrow Russia in that region. But when you look at the video post now, China and Russia is basically threatening war over not necessarily Venezuela, but this condition with Iran. I don't want to get too deep with the protests. You can do your own history, and you can see since their inception, after their Balfour Declaration, there's always been mass protests in that region. And we know that was really a cover for them to try to overthrow the regime, but based on the video accounts, family, these are grounds for serious war. And I'm going to continue to teach this Revelation 17 narrative. So as you can see on many Hebrew Israelite channels now, that's a huge conversation because we're in that time. We don't have much time here. I also want to go into, I'm going to try not to take too long. I want to go into that Orshnik, okay? Right? And you look at those videos, the judgment of the Most High is going to be very swift, okay? And I'm going to say fair use. Again, I don't know why I even go through the whole fair use thing and YouTube still copyright. How the hell do you copyright my video after I literally opened it with fair use, even put the disclaimer, but anyways, let's go into the book of let's get 2 Peter's. Actually, let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's get 2 Ezra 7. We're going to read the book of 2 Ezra 7:43 real quick. Okay? Second Ezra chapter 7 and verse 43 from the top. That's 8. I want 7. There it is. 2 Ezra 7 and 43. It says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time and the beginning of immortality for to come where corruption is past. I'm going to read that from the top. It says, but the day of doom, it says, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time and the beginning of the immortality for to come where corruption is past. And obviously we live in a time of corruption under the Edomites, okay? Right? And the stage is clearly being set for the day of the Lord. It's close, family. I don't know the day, time, year, season. I'm going to continue to repeat this sentiment. Watch these warning signs, okay? The Lord do give the Hebrew Israelites all the warning signs. And the warning signs are before us, okay? Now we're going to read 2 Peter chapter 3 and 10, okay? Shalom to the 12 tribes, the children of Israel scattered abroad. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All right? Second Peter chapter 3. And verse 10. I'm going to get straight to the point. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. And this is going into the coming judgment of America. Mystery Babylon the Great. That's America. Now, I'm going to try to post what Article 5 is truly about.
Article 5 can mean different things depending on the context. Most commonly, people are referring to NATO's Article 5, but it can also refer to articles in national constitutions. Here's a clear breakdown. Number 1. Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, most common usage. Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty is the Collective Defense Clause. Plain meaning, An attack on one NATO member is considered an attack on all NATO members. Exact principle. If a NATO country is attacked, each member agrees to assist the attacked nation, including the possible use of armed force, to restore and maintain security. Key points. It does not automatically mean war, but it allows military action. Each country decides how it will respond. It has been formally invoked only once, after the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. It applies to attacks in Europe or North America, with some defined exceptions. Why it matters. Article 5 is the backbone of NATO deterrence. The idea is that no adversary will attack a NATO country because it would trigger a unified response.
Right? Because if Trump is threatening to truly use military force, and the video speaks for itself, he's threatening military force on a NATO ally. Okay, this is why, again, Revelation 17 is just a hot topic. Didn't the Most High say they're going to hate the whore? Okay, paraphrasing. Let's read that. And I didn't post this. I'll probably post it. Okay. I've mentioned this a while back, and it's a topic again. Bibi, okay, the leader of the Israeli set out there in the Middle East, he has nuclear weapons. Okay, now Iran is threatening more missile strikes, but if he's in the corner, which he truly is, will Bibi panic and use his nukes? And will that trigger Revelation 17? But let's read Revelation 17 real quick. It's something to think about. Okay, that's surfacing again. I'm gonna try to post that. Okay, because something's gonna trigger the nations to 100% turn on America. And remember, when you think of the 50 states, who control the 50 states? Contrary to popular belief, the small hats, they control America. That started from the time of chattel slavery to the 30s to this very day. A lot of people don't know that, okay? But if Bibi uses nukes, that could absolutely trigger a domino effect, because it's really their 50 states. The laws only apply to them. They don't apply to people of color. It's something to think about. Revelation chapter 17 and I'm going to read verse 5. I'm going to read the classic first. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. Okay. Now we're going to read Revelation 17. I want to read, let me see. (16). Okay. I'm going to start at 15. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Okay. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What is that talking about? That is going into the judgment of America. And you got to consider the narrative right now. Article 5 basically goes into a NATO country being targeted or attacked. Normally, if one's hit, that triggers the rest. But the question on the table is, will America really use, or will America use military force on Greenland? Okay. Now, we know militarily they're not like America, but they have NATO. They also have Canada, which was seen in the last video. And the spirit, okay, America's moving in. It's like, you know, they've been hardened like Pharaoh. When you go into the Torah accounts, remember the Most High, he hardened Pharaoh's heart. And it's beyond a shadow of doubt, the current president of the United States, his heart is hardened. And the man said he's going to take Greenland by force, basically, according to the videos. Will that trigger this Revelation 17 prophecy? Because if that happens, America is going to be judged. But for it to be judged, we have to anticipate, okay, that Israeli-Iran conflict to start up, or China. It's always been tensions with China and Taiwan, and we've been dealing with that storyline over a decade. But you have to consider, since the capture of the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, China is not on good terms with America. We hadn't had any breaking news yet, but you have to consider, if that happens, family, I'm gonna tell y'all, like I did in the last video, I'm gonna tell y'all again. If China overthrows Taiwan, America's done. It's gonna break the economy. Okay. America's already suffering a new housing bubble burst that's due to go. I had notifications popping up showing how most homeowners now, they're just giving the homes back. So remember, it was this administration that opened up this task force cutting federal workers. Remember that? That was last year. Okay. You had Trump and Musk and other lawmakers, even the courts, destroying the lives of their own people. Okay, so-called. Now this thing is just rolling over. Right now in New York City, there's a massive strike with the nurses right now. Okay, only thing this administration is doing, according to the signs, they're bringing in the end of their own kingdom. Okay, and it's not going to end with politics or policies. America's going to burn in nuclear destruction. Okay, I'm going to say this, as I said in the last video, there will be no, we're just going to make it, a Trump is going to sound, and we just go into the kingdom. No, this war has to break off. Let's get Joel 3. Okay. Let's get Joel the 3rd chapter. I'm going to try to find that video clip where they go into, you know, Israel potentially using their own nuclear weapons against Iran. Now, again, if that happens, that can emphatically trigger a domino effect. Because if they do that, well, first, what's left of Tel Aviv and that region, that's going to be overthrown. It won't be nuked because they're, in other words, if Israel's nuked, that's going to hurt the surrounding nations. They wouldn't necessarily retaliate nuke for nuke in that region, but like I said, the small hats, they control America. So the retaliation would be, you know, the nations sending the missiles right to the United States, prophetically. Okay. Joel 3 and 1. Because we're in this time. Okay. We have entered into this time, and it's going to escalate. Okay. It says, for behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will bring also, this verse 2, Joel 3 and 2, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Now that's going into, that's going into the Israelites that were scattered into the four corners of the earth. Deuteronomy 28, 68, okay. All the verses that go into that, the Ezekiel account, the entire Ezekiel account go into us being taken from among other people, okay? Read the whole account. The elect Israelites are going to be delivered out this fire, this final exodus, okay? That's what's coming. And this thing is coming, it's coming swiftly. You look at the news right now, this thing seems much sooner than later, but we have to see, right? Okay. Joel 3 and verse 3. This is going back into the punishments right here when the nations had us in subjection. It says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Okay. So the nations took us. They scattered us, and to this day they still abuse us. It may not be as bad as the chattel slavery time, but the nations, they remain confederate against us, as it's written in Psalms 83, right? But now the nations are basically preparing for war against America, okay? We don't know if Greenland's going to have some military conflict with America. Yay or nay, I don't know. However, there are some nations that's willing to strike America back if necessary. Chiefly nations like Russia and China. These are high-end military powers that's willing to protect their sovereignty, right? And you see that in these videos. But based on the accounts, okay, it's looking bad. Let me see if there's any notifications. A couple more scriptures. I'm going to just wind it down, because I didn't want to make the video too long. Let me see what the end time headlines is going into real quick. This was at 9 p.m. It's a little after midnight here on the East Coast. This is about 10 p.m. End time headline reports. It says, Russia warns Trump that he would trigger the end of the world if he captures Greenland. See how serious this is? Okay, I'm going to read that again. Okay. It says, Russia warns Trump that he would trigger the end of the world if he captures Greenland. And you gotta think about that. Article 5 will grant NATO, in other words, he'll give NATO the green light to really attack America. Don't the Most High tell us in Revelation 15:16 on down that the nations are going to hate the whore and they're going to attack? They're gonna burn it with fire. It's twofold. The Israelis do have nuclear weapons. The question on the table is, will they use nuclear force? If they do, it'll be the end. It'll trigger Revelation 17. It'll trigger Ezekiel the 20th chapter. Okay? The prophecy is going to pan out. It'll definitely trigger 2 Peter 3 and 10. So when you look at the oceanic videos, that's pretty bad.
Launched its most terrifying missile over Oreshnik. It was not striking Ukraine alone. It was piercing the walls of NATO command rooms and shaking the corridors of the Pentagon. 6 pillars of fire rained down from the edge of space at a speed that made radar systems look like confused children's toys. This was not Kinzhal. This was not Iskander. This was Oreshnik, a beast that forced Europe to awaken to a brutal truth. The old rules are over, and geography no longer protects anyone. We are not talking about a missile, but about a ballistic message written in plasma and fire, surgically aimed at the heart of NATO. So are we now in the opening hours of World War III? And what are the demonic capabilities of this missile that Putin himself described as impossible to intercept? Stay with us, because what we reveal today is not just news, but a chapter in a massive book of which we have only read a few pages. The moment that changed everything. At a secret military base in the Rostov region of southern Russia, on a night colder than usual, something unusual was unfolding. Officers with hardened expressions, eyes locked onto screens, fingers moving across keyboards with surgical precision, like surgeons preparing for the most dangerous operation of their lives. At exactly 2:47 Kiev time, the sirens sounded. But these were not the familiar air raid sirens Ukrainians had grown used to over 4 years of war. This was a different tone, sharper, more terrifying. Ukraine's early warning system, backed by NATO technology, had detected something strange, something never seen before with this level of density and coordination. A hypersonic Oreshnik missile racing toward targets in western Ukraine, near the Lviv region, just kilometers from the Polish border. A border behind which NATO itself stands. This was not the first time the missile had been used, but it was the first officially acknowledged combat use in the current war after it had already appeared in November 2024, signaling that Russia was entering a new era of strategic warfare. That night, Ukraine's sky turned into a canvas of light and hollow thunder, not merely because a missile had been launched, but because a major political message accompanied the strike, a message that said, "Nothing is beyond the reach of our weapons." Why Oreshnik is considered a strategic nightmare. This ballistic missile is a monster in the intermediate range class, capable of striking targets up to 6,000 kilometers away. That means Berlin, Paris, Warsaw, Rome, all within range if launched from deep inside Russian territory. But range is not its most terrifying feature. Speed is. Oreshnik races toward its target at more than 10 to 15 times the speed of sound. At these hypersonic velocities, the air itself becomes an enemy, and the time available to respond becomes almost non-existent. And here comes the most horrifying part. The MIR-V system, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. A single Oreshnik missile does not carry one warhead, but 4 to 6. Each of those warheads can, in turn, release a swarm of sub-warheads, bringing the total in some scenarios to 36 separate targets, nearly impossible to track or intercept. Yet something unusual happened in the strikes on Dnipro and Lviv. No nuclear warheads, no conventional explosives. Instead, something deceptively simple was used. Solid blocks of heavy tungsten metal. Why? The answer lies in the physics of extreme velocity. When a tungsten mass strikes the ground at 4 kilometers per second, its kinetic energy is transformed into devastating, destructive force. Imagine a 500-kilogram block of metal. On impact, it releases energy equivalent to 900 kilograms of TNT. Multiply that by dozens of sub-warheads. Russian sources themselves claim that each sub-warhead can equal the power of 1 full ton of explosives. Think about it. Conventional explosives require casings, armor, and detonation systems, all of which reduce effective mass. Here, 100% of the warhead is lethal material. It penetrates, vaporizes into plasma, generates a thermal explosion, and produces a shockwave similar to a small meteor strike. That blinding white flash you see in the videos, that is the moment solid metal turns into gas. So now we have a hyper-advanced, extraordinarily expensive weapon being used in a way that seems relatively limited in effect. Why such apparent waste? The answer is simple and terrifying. This is a rehearsal and a message. The first message is directed at Ukraine and its allies on the border. Look, we can reach your far west, to NATO's very doorstep, with a weapon you cannot intercept. The strike on Lviv was a demonstrative slap meant to prove exactly that. But the real message, the most explicit one, is aimed at Europe's capitals, and it operates on multiple levels. The first layer, technical. Look what we can do without nuclear warheads. Now imagine what we can do with them. The second layer, strategic. Any escalation from your side will be met with a barrage of unstoppable missiles that can reach your capitals in less than 20 minutes. The third layer, blunt and open. Senior Russian officials, including Dmitry Medvedev, have said it outright. Oreshnik will be used with nuclear warheads if the West crosses red lines. In the end, this story is not about tungsten or kinetic energy calculations. It is about a weapon of mass destruction being brandished inside a conventional battlefield. It is a redefinition of strategic deterrence in the 21st century. Oreshnik, in its empty strikes today, is not just a missile. It is a political hourglass.
Okay? You won't have time to blink. That's how quick them things come. And the video posts, okay, those are just standard missile drops. Those aren't ICBMs. Imagine an ICBM coming at that speed. It'll be the end. And it will be the end for the United States of America very soon. Okay? Let me see if there's any notable notifications. I'm going to read this one again. It says Russia warns Trump that he would trigger the end of the world if he captures Greenland. That speaks for itself. Okay. That literally speaks for itself. I'm going to read that one more time. That's most notable of all my notifications right now. It says Russia warns Trump that he would trigger the end of the world if he captures Greenland. You can't make that up. And I'm going to continue to resurface Revelation 17. Okay. But before I end this video, let's go to Isaiah the 13th chapter. I have to warn Israel. Okay. Actually, Matthew 24. Matthew 24 and 6. I'm going to start at 5. It says, for many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many. That's chiefly your Vatican, the papacy, Christianity, that wicked umbrella that teach you Caesar Borgias. That's not saving nobody. Okay. Matthew 24 and 6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. And that's a warning. I've been saying this. I said this on my videos last year, and I'm going to bring this out. Especially for you Bible Belt Negroes in America. Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. If you have all the nations literally turning on America, if you're a slave descendant, if you're the diaspora, okay, America, its Congress, and that Comedy Central court system, that can't save you. And them trying to teach you John 3:16, that can't save you. Again, John the 17th chapter, the Lord didn't come to save this world. The world in that context, in John 17, is dealing with the elect Israelites. Okay? Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. You can't align yourself with the Ku Klux Klan and racism, white supremacy, and this sundown America. It's over for this place. Based on just this video and so many other videos out there, America's on its way out. Okay? If you're a slave descendant, you have to align yourself with an Israelite congregation of your choosing. Okay? America days is numbered. Man. It's just getting too fast. And we're not talking some little famine here or there. We're talking about the judgment now. Okay? And the brothers been warning about this judgment. Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. You can't align yourself with Edom. Especially, for you Bible Belt Negroes in this country. That Christianity doctrine, that's going to get you bodied in these last days. It don't work. Okay? I give you St. John the 3rd chapter versus St. John the 17th chapter. Read it for yourself. You're going to run into a ginormous monkey wrench on the narrative. I challenge y'all to do that. Okay? Let's get Isaiah 13. We probably leave it there. Try to make it as easy as possible for you newcomers, man. The Most High tell us in Zephaniah 2:1-3, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree bring forth. Something big time is going to happen. And we are only in, mid-January? Look at the news. Look what I'm showing you. The Most High giving the elect all the warning signs before this great decree. Okay? Isaiah 13. Probably going to need it. So I have to create this video, try to polish it, then I have to post it. Okay? Isaiah 13 and verse, Isaiah 13. I'm going to start at verse 11. Isaiah 13:11. We're going into the Isaiah 13 chapter. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. That's twofold. That's dealing with wicked Israelites too. It says, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. That's dealing chiefly with America. So America's about to be judged. It's very soon. Okay. It says from the top, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And it will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Okay. I'm going to tell you something. That's none of gashing on John 2:16. You know why? This is end time prophecy. It don't add up. Right? Verse 13. Therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts and in the day of his fierce anger. None to cut on John 2:16. Okay? And it shall be as the chase roll, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. This is the point. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. Now, why is Christianity at the end of the world still sharing a false teaching on John 2:16? According to this scriptures right here, the nations, that's why I read Matthew 24:6 on down, the nations, they're going to align themselves, okay, nations against nation, kingdom against kingdom. The people are going to they're going to get back into the selective lots. Kind of like Genesis, the 10th chapter. Okay? The nations are going to go back to their respective lots. That's happening now. Okay? You small-minded Negroes in America, mainly the Bible Belt, because y'all believe in this Klansman version of salvation where we're going to hold hands with neo-Nazis, Ku Klux Klanmen, okay, ADL, SPLC, Canary Mission, Turning Point USA, a bunch of racist white supremacists, man. You're going to align yourself with them at the end of the world? Okay? The Lord said you have to gather with your own. Or, as I'm reading, you're going to get judged. Especially for being next with Esau, Edom. Okay? Verse 15. Isaiah 13:15. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. That's a warning right out the Bible. Okay? You have to gather with your fellow Israelites. If you're a slave descendant, okay, you have the diaspora, as this book warned, from Genesis to Revelation. You have to align yourself with your brethren, not with your enemy. okay? Because this thing, I'm telling y'all, family, based on these news accounts, it's not long yet, man. I don't give a damn about any of those organizations, okay? Because on the judgment day, they can't save you, and they can't save themselves, okay? And this is going into that great sudden destruction. That's why I mentioned, the oceanic. Imagine this oceanic with ICBMs. It's going to end very quick. Let's carry on. I'm winded. It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, and their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Okay? Now, that's twofold. Now, we know that's going to be mainly in that Middle Eastern area. Okay? Because I don't think they're going to nuke Israel. Their retaliation from a potential nuclear strike from Israel to Iran, they'll just hit Israel with enough missiles to shut it down. The nuclear missiles are going to hit and destroy America. Okay? Right? Let's go to the end of this verse, and I'm going to end this video. It's just a serious warning. Okay? We're going to end it here. Isaiah 13 and 19. Keep the commandments, Israel, because based on what I'm posting, everything being posted, this isn't good. This is not good. Okay? America's due to be judged. And this place is going down in thermonuclear destruction. Okay? Much like the ancient world, Sodom and Gomorrah. Check this out. Because we know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. It was judged for wickedness. Okay? And America pushes that same philosophy at the end of their world. And if you don't come out of ways of this place, like the Lord said in Revelation 18 chapter, Revelation 18, 2, 3, and 4, if you don't come out of this place, you're going to get judged. Isaiah 13 and verse, let's see, I lost it. Isaiah 13 and 19, it says, in Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And remember, ancient Babylon is still there. That wasn't talking about ancient Babylon. It was talking about the United States of America, which is definitely due to be judged. With that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humbleness and sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.